So my savings went from $10,000 to $2,000 this year. And here's my rebuilding strategy. So, if you don't know, I actually moved back home a year and a half ago to my parents' house at the age of 35, and I'm currently 36. I end up going through unemployment with a previous job I had this year, which I have grown to be no stranger to the unemployment journey. This is my second time in the span of 3 years going through unemployment. Let me say this: working in the tech industry has its ebbs and flows. And if you've spent time working in that industry, I think you know exactly what I mean. So I ended up going through unemployment this year. And one thing that doesn't happen often is becoming rich or a millionaire, but I'm in the rebuilding phase of that journey to get back to where I was, but better, beyond. Let's say beyond. Get back on my feet in a solid way. I want to share what the unemployment journey taught me was a few things. The importance and value of an emergency fund. And let me say this: yesterday's emergency fund isn't today's emergency fund. I'm grateful that I had it there and available. I also believe that I need to increase those numbers because the way that life flows and the trajectory, it would have been so lovely now to still have that expanded cushion to be able to do more things that I desire to do from an entrepreneurial standpoint. And I did take the leap and launched a business during this process, and it was beautiful. I launched a business called Crushing Cancer Collective. I'm a breast cancer survivor, a couple years in remission, and it was a heartfelt mission, but it came with some bumps and bruises, a lot of lessons. I'll have to share that another day. But all that to say, there's some things I would have done a little differently there with the launch of that business. And it also showed me my relationship with money because I immediately cut back on certain expenses that I had the moment that I knew I had to just be more financially mindful. And I was overspending on subscriptions, certain services that I would get. I just didn't really need them. I think the week that I cut everything back, I saved an automatic like $150 or $200. And one thing about when you start making more money and your definition of good money, you feel like you just have it all and you can pay for it all. And yeah, Paramount, you get my check, and Netflix, you get one too. And all the Disney, you get one. Like everybody just gets, look, you get it, you get it, you get it. No, 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 no. Keep your money. That's what I had to do. It just really checked me. So, the identity crisis that came with being a high functioning woman that typically has it all together and then not feeling like you don't have it all together, it's challenging. But I will say this: because I've been here before, I wasn't worried. I didn't automatically react from a place of worry. I didn't panic. I just prayed. I'm like, all right, Lord, you've carried me before, carry me again. My number one thing, I was so grateful from having gone through this previously, is the fact that I literally had that emergency fund saved. And it was a fund that I didn't tap into. It was separate from my other savings. So it's like I had like pots on the stove, if that makes sense. And I was grateful that I had different pots on the stove to pull from to support me in this process. And carrying that to the next level of me, rebuilding strategically, I'm going to, if not double that amount, significantly increase it for the future. So, what I'm not ashamed of in regards to having 2K left is the fact that, well, one, living at home with my parents definitely kept me from going in debt. 2K could be 0K, it could be completely non existent. The foundation was built. So this wasn't a failure. This was okay, the emergency that you put in place before supported the emergency that you had. Now let's build a stronger foundation for the future. So you're even more supported if this were to occur again. And there's a difference between survival mode and strategic rebuilding. I've been in survival mode before, wondering where your next paycheck is going to come from, down to the last amount, having to really like sacrifice and take a job based off of your past experience just to make sure you get by, and still not having enough and fully feeling like you're afloat. Previously, when I went through this a couple years ago, I had more expenses. I had a luxury apartment I was paying for. I had the expenses that came with the apartment. I took a job, so I was working a lot, and I had to put Cardi in doggy daycare even more than I normally would have had her in doggy daycare. Just different things that were expenses that I had on my plate that I did not have to worry about this go around, especially with the comfort of being back home at my parents' house. But my money dwindled faster with me taking my entrepreneurial leap. In my mind, I was like, okay, this is the time. Let's do it. Lock in, create the business, do what you got to do. And then maybe you'll just never have to go back, because then you'll be able to do the snowball effect. And then one thing rolls into another, into another. And this is your time. You can actually do all the things that you want to do, and then finish grad school and travel and X, Y, and Z. And girl, crickets. Okay. So, my actual rebuild strategy, what I'm doing now, I have a financial coach that I've worked with now for a period of time. And that also was a tremendous help for me, because understanding how I needed to adjust my money for emergency mode, cutting back, how I was able to be proactive instead of reactive this time around, I think really sustained me. And it really made me feel like, okay, an emergency isn't as much of an emergency when you have a cushion for it. And that, I think, is the number one thing. So having a corporate position again, my number one focus has been rebuild the emergency fund, actually knock that thing out the park. My investments kept growing. Those things kept going. I didn't take away from that. I didn't tap into any 401ks, Roth IRAs, like nothing was tapped into, just simply the emergency fund. And I'm grateful that it was not depleted and that I still have a cushion to build on. I mean, I've saved 10K in 60 days before, so I very well know that I can do it again this time around very quickly. So that's usually my mindset. Like, all right, get to your emergency money and get to it fast, and then coast everywhere else, and then continue to like power forward. So living at home gives me a great advantage because I'm not paying $2,300 plus in rent that I've previously paid before. Um, I What did I keep saying no to? I had to say no. I had to say no to a few things. I had to say no to a few traveling opportunities. I had to say no to missing out on a couple events for friends and family. I kind of whatever, hunkered in on my weekends and did less at like costly activities and more free activities, which there's actually a lot that you can do without spending money. Okay. I even reduced Starbucks. I mean, when I went to the app the other day, I was like, oh my God, I was here once in like October and I hadn't really been here since like July. So we got Starbucks at home and do. So those were some of the things that I had to say no to. And it's okay. There are seasons and times of sacrifice, but those sacrifices are worth it when you are working to get yourself ahead, when you're trying to get back on track again, and just being mindful with your money. I even was at a point where I would candidly tell my friends, like, hey, I would love to see you. Obviously, I have to be mindful being unemployed right now. If instead of lunch, maybe we can do a tea date, I'm down for that. And guess what? They did it. They did it. They understood. They respected my boundaries because I communicated what I needed. I'm not going to walk around embarrassed or put on a front like, oh, yeah, she's just balling out of control, like getting paid, her corporate bucks every week, these, elaborate checks. Like, no, I had to be mindful, right? And mindfulness and broke are two different things. I was never in a state of broke, but I was mindful. But I had been in a state of broke before. So a familiarity was not too far away, but mindfulness and setting up my cushion in my emergency and how I handled my money and my bills was very much a priority. So what I'm saying yes to now is investing in myself, continuing to invest in my business, continuing to invest in my future goals. I've shared some of those goals with y'all in the last recent videos that I've had, and I'm so excited and I'm not stopping. This is literally day 35, I think, on YouTube. I'm going 100 days strong. I'm committed to building this community. I am committed to all the other endeavors that I desire to do, the space that I want to hold for women on the journey to, officially becoming a trauma therapist through licensure. And I'm excited about everything to come. Even with the business that I launched during this journey, Crushing Cancer Collective, I am so grateful for the way that God moved in my life and gave me like exponential grace and propelled me in those 30 days. I launched that business from start to finish in 30 days. Product, creation, design, website creation, everything. And I learned a lot from that. I learned through the hiccups. I learned through the opportunities looking back at it. I've learned through alignment because what I created was so beautiful and I'm so grateful, but it doesn't fully align. And when we originally created Crushing Cancer Collective back in 2023, during my first layoff, that's when I initially took that leap. I took some of those savings to do trademarking and different things like that. But I was a different person then. The mission was different then. And I was basically building a business off of an old mission that I hadn't revisited to see if it aligned. So huge lesson learned on my part with, the money that was spent for things going into that. And one big piece about Crushing Cancer Collective too is that we want to do a donation give back, and we're just not in the space yet from a oh my God, what is it? Revenue standpoint that we can do that. But I believe when we make the pivot, when we make some adjustments, we will be able to do that because Crushing Cancer is intended to truly serve the community. And we're going to do it in a way that truly aligns by carrying products and items that fully align. So taking the time to step back and reflect on just like the whole entire journey through unemployment, through job transitions, through emergency funds, through how did you spend your money? What did you do? Where did you take the leap? Taking that time has been so important and super profound, and it's allowed me to have a better plan for the future. So those have been some of the bigger shifts. It's just not about money. This is like integrated with the whole redesigning your life theme that I've been sharing with you guys. And of course, I have a few apps and a few consistent financial support tools that I absolutely love and enjoy. And I'll share that more with you guys in the next videos to come. But being single, being 36, almost 37 in 2 seconds, being a woman with no kids and starting over, it gives me the freedom to build what I actually want in a way that feels in alignment with my core desired feeling. And that is so important to me. Setting myself up for financial success is the most important thing to me because in the future, I do desire children. I desire to be a wife and a mom and have, a house of kids and dogs running around. I just have to be aware of what my current reality is today and function with what I have going on today in preparation for the future. So, the way that I set myself up now, I'll be able to see the compound benefit in the future to come. So, yeah, this is, I guess, really just my invitation to you. If you are in a rebuilding season, obviously you're not alone. If you are someone that's navigated an unemployment journey, I say listen to some of these steps that I've shared and try to implement them the best that you possibly can. That, excuse me, what was that? Excuse me. That, and I would be out of water, like my Stanley. That, emergency fund is so important. I know they say 6 months, but I think you truly just need more than that. In the state that we're in the way that the world is moving, I think it's always just better to have more than not enough when it comes to your emergency fund specifically. So I hope you found this video helpful. Maybe we'll keep it going. Let me know what you resonated with. Let me know if you had like a special, I don't know, unemployment plan, if you've experienced this. I feel like a lot of people in the tech space have definitely gone through this more than any other industry. And tech is not even my background, but I've been in it now for some years and I've navigated it with startups and different things like that. So, very interesting space. But the beauty of it is, we bounce back from everything. That's legit what we do. All right, y'all. So until next time, comment, like, subscribe. If you don't know who I am Renee. I create conversations that bring you back home to yourself in the seasons of your rebuild. And we rebuilding, baby. So, all right. Peace out.